Hello, BookTube. It's morning. Um, it's Tuesday morning, election day. It's a beautiful day, a bit chilly, but bright and sunny. But we have a winter storm warning in effect for the next 2 days. We're supposed to get about a foot of snow. And so after this video's over, I got to run out and get some fuel for the snowblower to make sure we're ready to go. And probably not unusual for this sort of thing to happen in March. It's when the weather's at its tempestuous best. So spring's on the way. You just got to be patient. I'm doing this video because I was tagged by Dane Cobain at Dane Reads, a channel I really enjoy, and I particularly enjoyed this video he did because it's the first time I read a book tag. So he sat and he's told a story because there's no questions, there's not really any prompts. So he told a story and he read from a book, and it was wonderful. So I'll link it down below, and hopefully you'll go take a look at it. My experience is obviously going to be different than Dane's. So you'll notice I have a different backdrop behind me today, and that's done on purpose. That's mostly nautical and maritime history. So there's maritime history, nautical fiction, and that sort of thing. And there's a reason for that. When I was a little boy, I grew up on a Vermont hill farm, and we didn't have a lot of books. We had a bookshelf in the living room, and they had a few books on it, but not many. And my mom would read quite a bit. She'd read paperbacks, but she'd pass them on. She didn't collect them or anything. And my dad would read, but he didn't read a ton. So oddly enough, myself and both my sisters ended up being big time readers. But I remember first holding a book, walking into my parents' room, had the book open, and it was this bright, colorful boat with sails, a sailboat, and underneath B-O-A-T, and the light had gone off in my, or gone on in my noggin, and I realized that the words went with the image, and that, I can still remember it, and this would have been in the early 1960s, so it's been a long time since it happened. We didn't live near the ocean. We lived near a river. You look out our window, and the Williams River was there, and a big old gorge. But there was no boating per se, and but for some reason, that being the word, I don't totally understand how it worked, but boats and books about boats and maritime stuff really became my favorite genre, if you will. I read other things. I went through a stage where I was really into thrillers. I went through Hammond Ennis, Alistair MacLean. I went through a stage where I was really into science fiction, and I still love science fiction and fantasy. But because of how it all happened to me, I've always had a great love for maritime fiction and history and all that. It sent me on to my first career, which was in the Coast Guard. And I love books about exploration and adventure. So we built boats when I was a young boy and sailed them on that river, which made my parents a little crazy because right at the bottom, like I mentioned, right at down the end of our street, It was road. It was a dirt road. It was a huge gorge, so you could hear it roaring all the time. And we were puttering around our little boats and going from island to island, right by the gorge. But it was a different time then, and it made me want to explore the woods. And all the reading had a direct impact. It caused me to behave in certain ways. It caused me to have adventures, and my friends to have adventures. So, in that sense, it impacted how I lived my life. To this day, I'll put the book down and run out and go canoeing, or I'll put the book down to go exploring. I love reading, and I love books, as you can tell, but the early books like Kon-Tiki and National Geographic magazines, and on that bookshelf in our living room, one of the books my father did have was Gypsy Moth Sails the World, which was a big time book back in the day, and about single-handed sailing. And I read it many, many times. And the Raw expeditions, all the Thor Heyerdahl stuff. So the reading built in me a desire for adventure, and it still does that. I still love picking up a Timothy Severin adventure chronicles, something like the Brendan Voyage or something along those lines. I loved Farley Mowat, the great Canadian writer who wrote maritime as well as Arctic exploration stuff, or Peter Freuchen. And so any of these types of books, a love of them all grew out of that first time I picked up a book and made the connections between the letters and the image. So that's the story. I'd like to tag Steve Donahue, Paperback Junkie, Ernest Lee Eston, and Elena Macrodina. And thank you, BookTube.